So rule one, eat the right amount. We only have guidelines for youth. It's not like with adults, they do extensive, testing and all this other stuff to make sure that we've got these formulas. With youth, they're more like guidelines. And so the Dietary Guidelines of Americans, I put the link in here for you. It provides a starting point, right? What do you notice on this chart? Basically, if you look towards the bottom, the population we're talking about, right? Someone sedentary versus someone active, significant differences. Right. If you're going through a growth spurt, what do we know about that, Neal? When our kids are going through a growth spurt, they're like, they can't like a garbage dispenser.
Take a look at this. You look at the amount of calories here. If you look at age 4, go to the top, 1,600 calories for an active age 4 child. Well, that would make the average female in the United States overweight. Isn't that crazy? That's just pretty crazy. Just giving you an idea how important nutrition is for a growing child development, as the brain comes together and all these things. And that's all done by nutrition. It's not done by medicine or something weird or some kind of divine intervention. It's what goes in the body that builds all these things. So, that development is so important during this entire period. And you can see how many more calories the growing youth requires.
So you can use this as a rough guideline, and then inevitably, just like with your, adult clients, you're going to judge, you're going to maybe adjust this based on how their body is changing.
And remember, right? Our program does this for you too. I mean, all of you that use our program, don't worry about it. Yeah, those are the algorithms behind the program.
Absolutely. Okay, so for weight loss, if you're focusing on weight loss in this age group, pre-puberty, you don't want to diet. You want to allow their growth sort of to normalize their weight. You want them to, sort of grow into their bodies. You want to avoid dieting. You want to focus on good food choices. And then just like adults, if they lose too much or gain too much, it's going to hinder performance. And if you've got an in-season athlete, and I saw this time and time again, Neal, you probably did too, and they're losing weight and they're still growing, that means they're not eating enough, right?
Yeah.
So for muscle gain and performance, same thing, too much too fast may slow them down. They've got to consistently sustain a calorie surplus, which a lot of times is difficult, and resistance train regularly, or some type of stimulus, like Neal said. How much a kid gains is totally dependent on so many variables, right? But for some tips, getting your kids, if you have a kid that's not, they're constantly losing weight or they just stay skinny, you want to get them to eat consistently throughout the day. So 4 to 6 times a day, consistent eating with good snacks. You want to maintain that calorie surplus. You want protein at each meal, and we'll go into this a little bit more. Eating larger portion sizes is a great way to sort of get them to eat more, just by doing, not stuffing their faces, by, add an extra piece of toast or drink an extra glass of milk or juice or have a little extra serving of, good carbohydrates. And then maybe even drinking extra calories is another way to go to get quality nutrients into their body. Choosing more calorie-dense foods, whole milk versus non-fat, granola versus cereal, dried fruit versus, whole. You want both, but just adding those in as snacks or as part of their routine will add those calories. And of course, fat. You need fat for a lot of reasons. So you want to add that as well. So these are just little practical tips that you guys can utilize if you're working with kids that want to gain some muscle. It's not, just do one thing. It's how can you apply these little things that works with the kid's personality. Okay, so tips for weight loss. Like we said, you want to avoid overemphasizing body weight and weight loss, right? So the whole dieting mentality can be very damaging, particularly for teen girls. So we want to avoid saying anything like you need to go on a diet or you need to, get on a cleanse or a tea so that you can get to the right body weight. Instead, you want to focus on the positive, not using junk food as a reward, but hey, let's, see if we can fit in more fruits and veggies that you enjoy. Less packaged foods, more lean protein, less high fat protein. This is like a staple in all kids' menus, right? Chicken nuggets, hot dogs, and fried fish. More water and calcium rich beverages, and then less soda, juices, and sports drinks, except for during training. And then parents out there, you want to make sure that you make it easy for your kids to make the right choices, right? You'll see this at Neal's house and at my house. It's really easy to make the right choice. And then if we want to have a treat or whatever, it's more, difficult to do, or it's planned. Any comments anything you want to add here, Neal?
No, I mean, my simple rule for every youth athlete that I coach, or any youth period, and parents of kids that are growing up that maybe are struggling with that information, I go, hey, listen, as long as you eat everything you need, and here's what you need, you can have whatever you want. So they would eat whatever they needed, and then I really don't want what I thought I wanted. So there's kind of a little way you can play the whole thing off without, being, psycho about what your kids need to eat. Because I mean, I was never that, and that was the one thing that, it was mad. I empowered them to be able to figure it out. It's just giving them the right message.
Yep. Right. That whole all or none mentality, right? Like you can't never have any good quote unquote treat that might backfire on you.